Hey, good morning guys. In today's science news, I'm going to talk to you about sea ice. So you know that the North Pole and the South Pole are places on Earth that have ice, and you think about them having ice all year long. But it may not be that way for much longer. In fact, your children may not see a summer where there is sea ice at all. A news report announced last week said that we've lost 28 trillion tons of ice in the last 25 years. So that is incredible. Here's what the North Pole looks like right now. I'm going to show a little picture of that. Here's what the North Pole looks like right now. This is at the end of summer, so we'd expect it to have retreated a lot. It melts in the summer and it freezes in the winter. Expect about a bit of that. But when you lose 28 trillion tons over a number of years, that means that it went away and it didn't come back. It didn't freeze and melt and freeze and melt back to the same levels. We're getting less and less ice each year. We know it's melting. We know it's melting fast. It's actually melting faster in the Arctic than it is in other parts of the world. Researchers looked at satellite photos of the ice around the world from 1979 on, which is pretty much when we first started keeping track of this stuff. And the ice up in the North Pole, it actually used to, in the winters, it would connect Asia to North America. And it doesn't connect Asia to North America anymore. There's less and less ice. I'm leaving you some links to explore a little bit more about the ice in the Arctic and the Antarctic and looking at how that's changed. But let's talk about ice and water and where it all goes and where it all comes from. You know that ice melting is going from a solid to a liquid. That's one way that ice can change. But ice can also turn into a vapor, a water vapor, a gas. And it can do that by going from a solid directly with this heat from the sun, the rays of the sun, thermal energy. It can what's called sublimate. Sublimation is going directly from a solid to a gas. Water molecules in the atmosphere get there by either evaporating, and going from a liquid to a gas, or by sublimating, going from a solid to a gas. So those are two ways that it can do that. We measure the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere in terms of humidity. That is how many water molecules are floating around in our air. Right now, California is having really dry air, which is not good for fire season. It means that everything is really dry, the air is really dry, there's not a lot of water to get in the way of that burn. The East Coast, however, is having a lot of humidity, and that makes it warm and hot and sticky and kind of uncomfortable. Here's a way that you can measure the humidity yourself by using your hair. Today I'm going to show you how to make a hair hygrometer. Hygrometer is any instrument we're using to measure the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. And what this involves, we have a glass jar, or you could use a water cup if you needed to. You want a toothpick, and I colored one end of the toothpick so I'd be able to tell which end was pointing in which direction. I used a straw, but you could use a pencil. And I put a little bit of tape on there to make sure that the straw doesn't roll. You don't want the straw to roll. And then the thing that's holding up that toothpick is a strand of hair, and I just pulled that hair out of a hairbrush. So the hair actually absorbs water from the atmosphere, and as it absorbs water from the atmosphere, it shrinks and gets a little bit shorter. As it shrinks and gets a little bit shorter, that twists it around, and it will make the toothpick point in a different direction. So what I do, attach the toothpick to the straw. Make sure that it's balanced. If you need to put a little extra tape on one end so that it hangs flat instead of pointing up or down or something like that, then make sure you do that. And then I marked on one side of it where the dry spot was, because right now our air in Sacramento is really dry. So for the air in Sacramento to be really dry, you want to make a mark there. That's where it should rest when you begin this. And then after I went into the bathroom with the shower on and shaving and all of the hot steamy things that happen when we get ready in the morning, I made a mark on the green spot to show where it was when it was the most humid. And that's what you want to do. And then you have what's a high and a low of your spectrum, so you can tell what is the high humidity and what is the low humidity. And now if you leave this out on your counter for the next few weeks, you'll be able to see how the humidity changes from day to day. That's our show for today, guys. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.